The band of brothers comes together around a shared mission.
Okay, another bale.
You all have been a big part of God's initiation of me and God's fathering me.
I never did any of these things with my dad. So the things you've invited me into has been huge for me.
You're gonna attach this thing, say about right here.
I've got to tell you, you guys have asked me some questions and gone to some areas of my life that have never been touched. That's been huge for me.
Ready? This band has extended an invitation to really make a difference.
We share life together. This is what it's supposed to look like.
Hail, O mighty warrior, the Lord is with you. I hope you've noticed something over the last 7 segments of this video series. I don't live alone. No man should.
King Arthur had his Knights of the Round Table.
David had his mighty men.
Jesus had his disciples.
And when he left his disciples, they had one another.
This band of brothers that you've been watching isn't something we cooked up for the screen. These are my friends, these are my allies, and this is how we live together. You cannot hope to become the man God meant you to be, and you cannot hope to fulfill the mission and the destiny of your life without a band of brothers. And so in this last segment of our series, we're going to explore how to form your band, how to fight for it, and how to live together as a band of brothers.
This is one of my favorite places to be, out here on the ranch doing work, to share the experience with a group of friends, a group of guys, a band of brothers. I mean, there's nothing like it.
Look how much the Aspens have turned.
It takes a team to make it happen, so it's really good to work together.
Craig, you'll probably want to be anchor on the road.
Sure.
That's the skill position. You're not going to get this in your office cubicle. The wind, the warmth of the sun, the clouds, the smell of the hay.
Yeah.
I mean, the smell of the horses. This is great.
Okay, let's see what we got here. You know what? I'm 2 inches short.
I'll do it.
I'll do it. Let me do it. Bars, let me
You
do
wanna
it.
do it? Go inside and climb up the ladder.
All right. So it's up there right now?
You gotta come around. There it is.
Oh,
Nice. Makes it easy.
Pretty easy. Sometimes a little height helps. Sometimes a little girth helps.
Okay, rope.
Now just watch.
Craig, you're gonna have to like walk back with this,
The rest of these guys standing around while I'm hauling these suckers up and down.
and then you're gonna have to pull it back.
Telling you.
Hey Bart, you need to come up here and show us how you want us to stack this. The last thing I want to do is a job that
Twice.
Bart Hansen is not pleased with.
We need to get a bale up here. Okay, Morgan, just pull a bale off there.
Set it underneath?
Yeah, just set it anywhere. There you go.
That's a good job for you, Craig.
Grab that, then I'm ready to go. You're gonna have to pack this stuff pretty tight.
What is it about friendships with men? Has that come easily for you guys over the years?
No, not to the level you'd like to have friendships with men. No.
You know, John, I've always had buddies. I think of back at the college days in my fraternity, but most of the friendships came out of circumstance.
I speak of you guys because we're so close. It is hard in one sense to be with you because you know me. You know when I'm posing. You know when something's wrong. And many times when I'm in that position, I don't want anybody to know. I'd rather stay right here at this level and kind of get through it
Right.
than to have one of you look at me with that look of, I know what's going on. I know what you're avoiding. I know what you're afraid of right now. But I love the fact that I can't stay there with you guys.
Yeah, see, Adam was afraid because he was naked, so he hid. And real friendships don't allow for hiding. You know, you can be in an accountability group and you can hide
Oh, yeah.
for 30 years.
You can pose with the best of them.
You bet. It's just spiritual posing, right? And you can be in a golf team, right, or in a business partnership, and you can hide there successfully. We're talking about the kind of friendships, the kind of depth where you are known, and you can't hide.
Guess we have, what, 50 bales we gotta fit in a pretty small loft. Okay, Winchester, you ready?
I get a little frisky waiting. Come on.
What about a band of brothers?
Okay, slack.
Have you had a band of brothers over the years? I don't mean guys who hang out once a week, Tuesday mornings having a cup of coffee. I mean guys who are living in deep friendship with a shared mission.
The way I understand a band of brother now, no. But there's been some inkling of it that I've wanted and pursued, and it's never worked out to be, even with minimal kind of expectations, to be what I was yearning for.
Yeah, but tried to create here and there.
Yeah, sure.
What is missing in those groups? I mean, what's missing in the typical accountability group?
I think of a way of getting at that. I think of what do I experience in this band of brothers that I've never experienced before. And one of the things is I have been rescued by you guys. I mean, sometimes it's been my initiation where I know I am not in a good place in my marriage or personally, and I make a phone call to one of you and say, I need help. And there's other times where I've been rescued by you seeing something in my life that I was too close to it to even see, but I needed a man to rescue me, a man who knew my story and could intervene with courage and not knowing how I would respond.
In our large church in Southern California, we had gazillions of men's groups, and they had a really good purpose and yada yada yada. But when it came down to looking at really what was happening in these men's life, nothing. I mean, you'd see these same men in an accountability group come in and share some deep problems, and sometimes not even that deep, and you would say, aren't you sharing these in your group? No, because the guys in the group, it's more of a pressure thing. We're kind of on the alert, looking for sin. Modifying, pressuring one another for good behavior.
Yeah, it's a completely different model. The model of the accountability group says you are a sinner and your heart is bad. And so we're going to put some men around you to help you not sin.
Right.
That's the point of it.
That's kind of the premise of it.
It starts with a negative, right? You're starting in the hole, right? It's like being assigned a parole officer. You know, we just know you're waiting to blow it again, so we're going to get some guys around you to help you not blow it. But instead, a band of brothers says, no, I see your glory. I see your strength. I need it. I affirm it. I'm calling it out of you.
Hey, wise guy. All right.
Some oil on that?
Yeah.
I'm putting that back on. I don't care what it takes.
That's the first time it's ever occurred to me. Oil this thing.
This is my moment of truth here.
I see a band of brothers as sharing two things. It is a group of men who share a deep friendship with one another and who share a common mission. See, because you can have guys in the corporate world, for example, have a common mission, right? We gotta, beat the next guy. We got the bottom line here, we need to grab our market share. But they don't have friendships, not really, not deep friendships. And so it ends up being hollow. It's purely about that task. It's a task-oriented group, and therefore it's based on performance. And if you don't perform well, you're out. Or there's the opposite of that. I think there are guys who have had maybe groups of friends for years. Every year they go deep sea fishing together, or every Saturday morning they play 18 holes together. They may have some friendships, but there's no shared mission. There's no higher purpose that those friendships are called upon to serve. Right? So you kind of have either one. What I'm really looking for are groups of men who share deep and honest friendship with a common mission. Have you ever had that?
Boy, John, that is just so rare. I mean, I think back to even my fraternity days, where I would say was my time of closest friendship. But as you say it that way, I realized we didn't have a larger mission. And so though we had intimate friendship, it didn't stand the test of time because there was nothing transcendent to call it into the larger story.
Exactly. I think of good men in ministry even, church staffs who share a common mission, or at least they're trying to, but there isn't the basis of real deep friendship there, and so they don't stand the test of time either, right? It blows apart.
If a lot of guys' experiences is just going for golf or whatever it is, they don't come back alive.
Yes.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
I mean, their adventures, their bands, their little friendships aren't really nourishing, nurturing, and addressing that need they have.
Yeah. That's probably a great test then of a band of brothers. Is do you come away from it strengthened and validated as a man? Do you come back more alive?
Yes.
And if the answer is no, something's missing. Something's wrong there. I want to clarify something. We're not just a group of guys that get together and fish and raft and climb and ride horses and just goof off together. We work together.
Yeah. We have a mission.
We share all of life together. Yes. And speaking of work,
We got some hay to get up.
it's probably time to get back.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You want to go up, Mort?
I'm going up.
Okay, here we go.
up.
It's Peter Pan. Peter Pan.
Slack!
Hey, Morgan, pull me up. Anyone else? Huh?
Oh, boy.
Total of 8 bales left, you guys.
Good.
Okay, 3 more. 3 more. This is the bale that we've been looking for all day long.
This is it, guys.
Whoa, and that went up even too. Whoa.
Nice.
You'll throw that block down?
All right.
You got it?
Drop it.
That's it. Let's get some water.
It's coming up. It's on its way.
Whoa. Whoa.
No.
The horse wants to share it.
Look at it. Let's see. Come here, girl. Yeah, that's a good girl. Now turn around.
Oh, man. Life is good, lady.
Let's get Craig up
Craig's
here.
pretty dusty.
Hey, I'll
Let's
take the hose.
Why is it that so many attempts of men to come together and form an accountability group or a men's group, why do most of those fail?
I think one is we're so afraid to be honest and really that internal life of ours to come out. I was on staff at a church, and all the male pastors were together, and the lead pastor wanted to create more of an in-depth sharing and a little more honesty, and for us to bond as men in ministry. And so he set the pace and in trying to set us up to be a little more open, and he shared how he was struggling with using church postage stamps for personal mail. I'm sitting there ready to share some real deep stuff. I'm thinking of nabbing the church secretary in the library, and he's talking on that level. It's like surface, got to go up high.
Yeah.
Think of something light. But,
Yeah.
I mean, if that was an example of sharing internal life, I mean, I thought, ain't gonna happen here.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep things real high near
Yeah.
the surface.
That is probably the number one enemy of making this work is the poser.
Yeah.
And especially the religious poser, right?
Sure.
Because he's the most deadly because it sounds spiritual. Wow, this guy's really confessing something here.
Yeah.
Stealing postage stamps, right?
I think the reason why a lot of bands of brothers fail is that they don't have a big enough story. And I think, the mission of sin management is not enough. We have a mission of the kingdom of God, and that's what motivates us.
Exactly. Jesus establishes the first band of brothers, right? The disciples. And when he sends them out, he doesn't send them alone. At minimum, he says, go in pairs, right? You will not walk alone. Yep. It's too dangerous out there. The battle is real and the risks are high. A man alone will be taken out. Or at best, if he does seem to make it, he will never be all that he was meant to be. Yeah. Right? Isn't that what Lewis says?
Yeah. He said that only in our friendships can we develop into the man we're supposed to be. It takes someone else to pull the full man out and call the full man up.
Yes.
There's something about a band of brothers that it's through that and by that which some of the biggest desires of our masculine soul crave, need.
If this is true, that a band of brothers is God's design, it is essential, it's desperately needed, and it is dangerous for good, for the kingdom, then it is going to be hard to create it and to sustain it. So let's offer some words to guys who are thinking about starting a band of brothers or wanting to maybe retool the one they have or just sustain something good that they've already got going.
Go deeper.
What would you say to a group in that place?
Well, the first thing is you've got to know each other's stories. Without that, there's not any other place you can go.
I would recommend that men start there.
Yes.
That as you form your group and as you begin to journey together, share your stories. Tell each other your life story. Let them in on the sort of the key and defining moments. Where did the wounds come? And through whom, right? What were your dreams when you were younger, right? And what made you give them up, And where are you now? What's going on now? Because it's only in the context of someone's story that we can understand their life.
I would say to some guys that start praying that God would lead you to some men to be in a band of brothers. We want things so quickly. We want a band this week or next week. God may want to do some stuff in our hearts and lives between now and when we're actually in a band, but pray for it.
The thing that I have kind of come to appreciate with you guys that I want to encourage other guys is take the battle seriously.
Yes.
And I think if we have the mindset that we're living in warfare, then this whole concept of fighting for each other's heart really comes to bear.
Bingo. Live like you are at war.
Yeah.
Right? And things will become much clearer. You'll suddenly see the battle against you personally and against your group much clearer.
Yes. And for a band of brothers to work, you have to share adventures together. Thursday morning coffee isn't enough.
You just can't do that just, putting some time on your calendar to do that. You've got to go live it out somewhere.
And lay out your desires for the group too. Just say, this is what I want. This is what I'm seeking. And I think finally, I would say, let's come back to kind of those two things that are essential for a band of brothers. You have to have friendship, real friendship, not buddies, right? Not church guys together, genuine friendship. And you have to have a shared mission. Now, sometimes the mission will come and the friendship will grow. And sometimes the friendship has been there for years, and then you ask God to give you your mission. Where are you sending us, Lord? What's the front that you want us to fight on? I think every group needs a mission, and a mission given to them by God.
Yes.
Without that, I think it will wither. It will become either too introspective, right? It's just about us, or it'll just become boring. What's the point? The band of brothers comes together around a shared mission, and their families become part of a living community, and they share life together. This band of brothers is not an isolated unit, kind of living a sort of a selfish, male-oriented club. This is not that. It extends to our wives, to our children, right? Our kids play with each other, right? We go camping together. Birthday parties, we're at each other's houses, right? Barbecues, campouts, or in times of crisis, somebody's in the hospital, somebody has a financial need. Boom, we're there. We're there to meet. And then around the band of brothers and their families, a larger community grows. This is how the church was supposed to happen. This is what it's supposed to look like.
Oh, look at him.
Each one of you calls out of me some part that God is working on, glorifying, calling forth, and wants me to live out of. I can't be my full self without the band of brothers.
So it's about feeding time. Got some 50-pound sacks of rolled oats.
You guys have really affirmed in me that I can do what my deepest heart's desire is and what I love to do, and be a part of the larger story.
So just pour a little bit on there.
Okay.
We're just gonna drag it out.
I don't need no power tool. Just to be with you, and then the questions you ask me to reveal things about my own heart and soul and my journey. It's been huge.
We have pushed through difficult times. We've had some hard moments, but we've pressed through to experience the fruit of it.
All right, Craig, it's time to open the buffet line.
Okay. Look at him coming. You will not grow. You will not experience some of the deepest desires of your masculine soul without a band of brothers.
25 years old, 30 years old.
Nor will you be used by God in the way you want to be used without a band of brothers.
Hear that chainsaw going up there.
What has this experience been like for you? 5 friends, 8 days, no scripts. Describe it for me.
Remember, one of the things that I said about myself is I wanted to discover some new things about myself. And gosh, these last 8 days, I've laughed, I've played with you guys, I've shot shotguns, I've done things I've never done before, rappelling, I've gone fly fishing, I've wept to find new strength within me. And God said to me this week, one of the things that He says, you have a strength not yet revealed.
Right.
And it's been an incredible time, a battle to fight, an adventure to live, and we rescued our beauties.
I felt like God said some things to me, explained some of my journey to me, kind of gave me an understanding of some things that have happened in the past that felt like pieces put into the puzzle for me that were really, really helpful for my heart. And I enjoyed you guys.
Okay, another bill. We've lived in it this week. We live in it now, and we will live in it when we go back home. And if this is deeper than 5 guys, 8 days, no script. It's God at work raising up these bands of brothers.
Yeah.
And so that was just so awesome to see that reality.
This week, I've had to walk into a lot of fears. Fears of being in front of a camera. I mean, I'm the guy that can't play charades or Pictionary. Going horseback riding. I mean, that was a scary thing for me. Paul. But it's been good to walk into some of those fears with you guys and then walk out the other side and say, I did that.
Yeah.
I was able to do that.
You did.
And in some ways, and I don't know if I can describe this better than this, but I feel like I am walking out of this week with some of your strength. I just feel like I've received the strength from each one of you guys in some way, and I feel stronger for it.
That's really good.
Yeah.
We're, 12 hours from heading back into the matrix, back into the world. And I'm just curious, how do you feel about that? And how are you going to hang on to this?
There's a deeper part in me that really does want to go back. I want to set the hearts free of others, and I want to be released more myself, and that's where it happens.
Yeah.
I want to be in the arena.
Yep.
I'm ready to go. I want to get back in it, into my wife's world, into my children's world, into my neighbors and the people around me. And in the years I've got left, I want to take this stuff and bring others into it. So there's really a part of me that says, let's go, let's do this. You know, the adventures and the missions we have enjoyed have just been wonderful shadows of the adventure and the battle I want to fight. And these have been great, but I'm ready for the real thing, the big thing. Let's put the warriors out on the field and let's go at it. Let's do this thing.
I'm kind of looking forward to going back to higher cliffs, faster moving water, which life will be.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I also know from experience what it's like the first few days. It does feel like it's a full out assault.
Yeah.
I start to lose everything. I get real disappointed in myself. But I can tell you now, after experiencing that, I know to keep my guard up now. I know to do that. I got to keep my guard up. I got to pray. I got to push off everything. And I know before we leave these grounds, I have got to journal. I have got to continue to write down what I heard, what I sensed, and then just do that. Just keep looking at that.
We've got to write it down.
It's been a very hard time here, but it's been a very good time here. And I want to capture those good moments that I've had that have given me strength. And I want to live in that as I go out again and not lose it, not let the world beat that out of me.
I've got one last question. What are your words to the men watching? They've been through 8 episodes now, and hopefully they're forming or continuing, sustaining, maybe redirecting their band of brothers. What do you want to say to them?
Right off the bat, I want to say, don't let resignation take you down. What you're reading, what you're seeing, what you're hearing is available to every man.
Yes.
There is a band of brothers, there is a platoon that you can be in, that God will provide. You need it, you must have it, don't give up searching it, pursue it. It's needed, it's necessary, it's essential.
Yeah.
And to remind every man that there is a battle going on.
Yes.
Then there is a place for every man. You can't stay in a place of believing there's not a place for me, I don't fit. There is a place for every man.
Yeah.
Secondly, God has already equipped every man for that place. It's not skills, it's not ability beyond them, it's in them already. And it's written on their heart, so therefore they have to find their heart to find that place and to live in that place. And they will never do it alone. They will be taken out so quickly if they try to step into that place alone.
Yeah, bingo.
And I want to say to them to stay in it. Just stay in it. There will be brutal times. There will be times that you want to check out on every level, but stay in it, because the battle for our hearts, a battle for your own heart, is the fiercest battle in the universe.
That's right.
But you stay in that and you get through that and continue to allow God to do that, you'll change the world. And it's worth it. It's worth it.
I just say to these men, you've got to step out. You've got to step into that unknown. And if you don't, if you choose to live in a life of comfort, in a small story, you'll never realize what God truly has for you. So you've got to take that step.
I really think I can boil down the masculine journey into 3 things. You have got to get your heart back. You have to. It's the starting place. Everything else flows from there. Whether you're a husband or a father, whether you're trying to bring the gospel to nations, or you're working in a large corporation, whatever you are doing and whatever your place in the world, it has to come from your heart. Your heart is the wellspring of life within you. You've got to get it back. That comes first. Second, you have got to find your place in the battle. God has a place for you. There is a place for every man. There is, and it is written on your heart's desire. It will not come quickly. Okay, it's not going to be next week, but you can have that. And thirdly, having gotten your heart back and found your place in the battle, you have got to learn how to fight. You have got to get into context where God will teach you and initiate you. Lord, father me, show me how.
You are called as a warrior.
Let me ask another question. What have you seen in me this week and in each other? I mean, we've lived, we've walked, we've fought, we've prayed. Gary, as you were saying, the guy that couldn't play charades, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, for you to step into this and to do it, that took strength, courage, honesty. I mean this as a compliment. You are a much less careful man.
Thank you. I tell you what, though, I mean, like we said before, if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be doing this.
Yeah.
If you hadn't pulled me into this, I wouldn't have done this.
Or pushed you off.
Or pushed me off,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
And then found more freedom to do this.
Craig, your humor this week, I mean, I knew that coming in. I mean, I love that about you, but, you know, I don't think that's where your strength really is. Because the moments you're serious are so powerful. And when you speak to me in those serious moments, I mean, they're very rich to me.
Yeah. Good.
And they mean an awful lot.
Yeah, thank you. What I've seen in you, Bart, is you started this week with that prayer, Lord, I want to discover some new things about me.
Yeah.
And God's really answered that prayer.
Awesome.
But you have handled it well. I mean, you've sought our counsel, our help, our thoughts, and you've done well, given the stuff God's doing in your heart and life.
Thanks. You guys have helped me immensely this week.
Yeah.
It's the beauty of Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
This mission will close, but we'll continue. We'll
Yeah.
continue to keep fighting for each other.
Morgan, I have to tell you, when we were horseback riding, when I could actually think through my fear for a minute, you were sitting tall in that saddle. And I don't mean just physically. Physically you were. But I saw something in you I have never seen before. There was this kind of aggressive, confident strength.
John, as I have known you for many years, I knew you back when you had that stiff collar and that, you know, keep a distance from me, and that was a very intense John Eldredge. But there's something in you, your invitation of us and of me, that has been just incredible. That I think has gone against the grain of what your life story has been, and what your wound was, and what the message of that wound was.
That's good to hear. Thanks. Let me close with the last page in the field manual, the quote from Teddy Roosevelt. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or how the doer of deeds could have done them better. No, the credit belongs to the man in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place will never be with those cold and timid souls who never know neither victory nor defeat. Wild at Heart is a movement of freedom, setting men free to be fathers, to be husbands, to be brothers, to be the friends of God. And now it's your turn.